Hey, it's Kish,
And it's Roland here.
and we're back with round 2 action from the Bendigo League Challenge. And of course, this is Primal Clash to Sun and Moon. So Sun and Moon just recently been made legal, and in this round we'll be featuring Jessie on the left playing his Mega Gardevoir deck versus Jarryd on the right playing his Umbreon, Taurus, Hammers, Disruption deck. So Jessie's a fairly new player. I believe he just started playing this season, and he's from my local league. So it's great to get him on camera. And Jarryd, fairly experienced player, and he'll be trying to abuse the new Umbreon along with some hammers, and of course that Dark Claw GX attack might come into play. So Roland, this is not really a known matchup. Nothing is in the new Sun and Moon on era, but or Primal Clash Sun and Moon era. But what are your first thoughts on this?
Well, the Dark Resistance from all the Fairy Pokemon could come into play here. Umbreon's going to be pretty inefficient at dealing with these Gardevoirs and Xerneases, because you're only hitting for 90 damage to the active. And then with Resistance, you're only hitting for 30.
Yeah.
So even with the Snipe damage, you're not really even going to be able to 2-hit KO them particularly efficiently.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned Dark Claw's the GX attack, but of course he does play Tauros, so
He does
it'll be
too.
competing with Mad Bull.
Yeah.
He could use either of those GX attacks, but you might even want to get some mileage out of Tauros here.
Yeah.
Just using Horn Attack, just hitting for 60, no resistance to mess it up, and if it gets hit into, Mad Bull's obviously great.
Yeah.
The problem is the Fairy deck doesn't mind just sort of, stalling a bit and setting up, because of course, okay, you get Horn Attack. I don't believe he plays, like, Fighting Fury Bolt or anything, so, I mean, you're going to hit a Xerneas 3 times with 60 damage, that's 3 Geomancies, and then you get a Primal Clash Gardevoir, and you want to carrying Tauros anyway, so, on second thoughts, perhaps Tauros isn't the best in this matchup.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, and the energy denial isn't going to be great when you just have all this energy acceleration with Xerneas. I mean, maybe you could just run your opponent out of enough energy so that Primal Clash Gardevoir, which of course has Brilliant Arrow, which for essentially 3 Fairy does 30 damage times all the Fairy energy in play. So, it's going to need 7 energy to knock out an Umbreon GX. So maybe with Dark Claw and Hammers and Flare Grunt and Team Skull Grunt even, which Jarryd does play, you can just, even if you don't strip their board of energy, but you reduce the amount of energy on their board so that Primal Clash Gardevoir can't be getting one-hit knockouts. And then maybe Umbreon can compete. Because if it's going to get one-hit knocked out, I mean, how are you going to win? Because, Shadow Bullet isn't going to be one-hit KOing anything, or even 2-hit KOing things most times. So, yeah, it's probably going to be an uphill battle for Jarryd, but, with Crushing Hammer, no matchup is a losing matchup with Crushing Hammer.
Exactly. And of course the snipe damage from Umbreon can come into play for Yveltal EX. Yveltal EX struggles.
Yeah.
He does play, I believe, one Yveltal EX. So the Umbreon deck can set up KOs with Yveltal EX. Yveltal struggles, well, not really even struggles, but finds it a bit more difficult to one-hit KO Mega Gardevoir. But that extra 30 snipe damage could be massive in
or
this
even
matchup.
like 2 snipes, put it up to 60.
Exactly.
But it's still no mean feat for Yveltal to do it, because again, it still has resistance. Say you put a Mega Gardevoir up to 60 damage, you've got it to 150 damage beyond resistance. So that could still require quite a few energy on Yveltal, particularly as you don't play Fighting Fury Bolt. So,
but nothing's impossible for Yveltal.
no, nothing's impossible for Yveltal, absolutely. So we see a good start from Jarryd, because of course you can use Energy Evolution on the first turn, play a Dark down, evolve straight to Umbreon. Obviously you can't attack, but it's just nice to have it out there. Have 200 HP on the first turn. It's a solid wall.
Yeah.
But just an N here from Jessie.
From Jessie, and he'll be looking for some basic Pokemon to Geomancy onto.
Of course, you can't Geomancy just into thin air, unfortunately.
So, looks like he's got one Ultra Ball. So, he probably plays Hooper EX, so I'm sure he'll be going for that.
Yeah. So, of course, an Ultra Ball can essentially turn into 3 Pokemon. 3 Pokemon EX, to be specific.
Yeah. And
so, question is, what does he want to discard? He's got seems like he has some excess supporters. That's interesting in his hand. He plays a Fairy Drop.
Yeah.
That could really throw a wrench in Jarrod's damage here.
But he discards it.
He discards it. But, I think
he probably plays another one.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place, I think, in terms of what he had to discard. But, plays another one. It's very similar to your list from the Hobart League Cup.
Yeah, it could be. Jesse's been playing Mega Gardevoir for a while, actually. I'm pretty sure he's exclusively piloted this deck at our local league, so I can't have my claim to fame here. This is definitely Jesse's deck.
He's the trailblazer.
Yeah, exactly. So
Fairy Drop, I mean, that's going to really throw a wrench. I mean, if Shadow Bolt's hitting the active for 70 damage, Fairy Drop heals 50, removing your Pokemon that have Fairy energy attached to it.
Yeah.
That's not appealing math for Jarryd.
But one thing that Jarryd does have on his side is that he went first, and he got that first energy attachment, a double colorless, and he will be threatening a 2-hit KO on the Xerneas.
Be putting on some pressure. Yeah, absolutely. But of course, even the set was the Despair Gardevoir from Steam Siege. That's right. Even that will be pretty effective in this matchup.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if Jessie's playing that, so we'll just have to wait and see. And he's got a pretty strong start though, so he's got to be happy with that. So I'm sure we'll just see a Geomancy here. No reason not to.
Yeah, puts a Xerneas down on his bench. It's good to have another one. You might even Geomancy onto it in anticipation of the following turn being able to Geomancy again.
And we'll see how many hammers Jarryd can draw into / flip heads on.
/ flip heads on, yeah, exactly. Because it's not just enough to draw into them. You do have to flip heads. So
Jarryd also plays Flare Grunt and Team Skull Grunt. So he's got all the teams.
Yeah, he does. Those team grunts, they really...
I know. Not very weak and not very strong on the video game, but...
I think Team Skull seems to be pretty much the laughing stock.
Yeah.
It seems to be what's going on.
Ooh, a shiny... That's an extra shiny gold trainer's mail. It looks like it's got some kind of sun.
I know what you mean.
From behind it.
It's the Solgaleo trainer's mail. Just beaming energy out.
And there we see the first crushing hammer from Jarryd. So, it's probably going to, if he flips heads, you'd think he would want to discard off the Xerneas.
Yeah, most likely.
Or, actually, tails.
Womp.
And live by the flips, die by the flips. That's crushing hammer for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is no way to increase your odds. There's no Victini for trainers. Well, there isn't even Victini in the format.
Okay,
so your reverse value, so that can be good to just add 10 damage to his attacks.
Yeah.
So it could make some sort of math relevant, particularly like getting around fairy drop and setting things up like a 30 damage, 230 damages from Shadow Ball, and then like 2 attacks for 80 damage. Pass resistance would knock out a Mega Gardevoir, for instance. That's just one of the possibilities.
Okay, so
just get a Gardevoir, but that's not really going to do much in this matchup.
No.
It's actually going to shut off his energy evolution.
Yeah.
Which he might have wanted to avoid, but preventing Jessie from playing Shaman at some point could be worth it, but shutting off his own energy evolution, although he does have another Umbreon on the bench,
another one.
It's probably not going to be too relevant.
Yeah. And we saw him bench that on his first turn. Basically before both players revealed their cards, so he wouldn't have known that Jessie was playing a fairy deck, and Gardevoir is pretty versatile in most matchups. So, but once you put down the Trubbish, you don't have to put the Floatstone on the Gardevoir, but it's always a Lysander stall option, especially for a Geomancy deck.
Yeah, definitely.
Who just wants the Geomancy, so he's almost forced to put the Floatstone on there. But he does grab a Taurus with the Ultra Ball. That's interesting. So, as we said, Taurus, it might not be the best in this matchup. I'm not too sure. It depends. It's fairly reliant on how your opponent reacts to it.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like the fairy deck, more so than others, can just sit back and kind of stall.
Exactly.
It doesn't really have an issue with doing that.
Yeah, and just wait until it has enough hit points to one-hit KO that Taurus. The 70 damage from Horn Attack is not really, or 60 without the Fighting Fury Belt. I don't think Jarryd plays Fighting Fury Belt. So 60 from Horn Attack is not going to be super good in this matchup.
No.
But we'll have to wait and see. So Jessie keeps on rolling.
Yeah, definitely. And gets another energy down. And, one more Geomancy, that's 5 energy on the bench. So even if the Xerneas gets knocked out, he's only 2 energy away from Primal Clash being able to get a 1-hit knockout.
Exactly. And with Mega Turbos and things, that can ramp up really quickly.
Yeah, just 1 Mega Turbo could be it.
Yeah.
So, Jarrod's almost certainly not feeling too comfortable at this point.
No.
Even a Despair at this point, it could even discard damage Pokemon off the bench.
Yeah.
So he could retreat the Xerneas and even discard it so it's not a Lysander target or something like that.
Yeah. Or just get rid of the Hoopers and
get
the
rid of the Hoopers
Shamans.
and the Shamans, yeah, absolutely.
Jarryd would much rather knock out than a Gardevoir. It's much easier for him to knock out those Pokemon than...
Yeah, because these big fairy Pokemon, they have a lot of HP and they're resistant to dark, but Shaman and Hooper aren't, and they're probably what Jarrod's eyeing off, thinking, okay, if I'm going to take 6 prizes, probably have to go through these Pokemon, but Despair Age just says, nope, I'm going to discard them, they're off the field. You had your chance. Well, not really, but you got to see them for a little bit, but they're going to be in the discard now. So that's going to be a big asset for Jessie, but of course it's not going to be getting 1-hit knockouts on Umbreon, but Umbreon's not going to be able to 1-hit knock out Despair Ray, so it's a good trade.
Yeah.
Umbreon is resistant to Psychic, which Despair Ray is, in addition to Fairy, but it can still get 2-hit knockouts.
Yeah.
For sure. You only need to discard, 1 Pokemon each time? Which is easy.
So it's fairly easy. So we see another Geomancy from Jessie here.
Yeah.
Okay, so he does...
So he's paying out for Brilliant Arrow,
Yeah.
definitely.
So he puts 3 energy on the Gardevoir, which is actually a little bit risky. I mean, he doesn't know Jarryd's list, but putting 3 energy on a normal Gardevoir EX, when your opponent's playing a Dark deck, can be a little bit risky, because Yveltal EX can actually fairly easily knock that out. But Jarryd doesn't have one on his field, but if Jessie doesn't evolve that, I believe, an Yveltal needs to do 200 damage, essentially.
Yeah, or 190 with the Fighting Fury Belt.
Or 190 with a Fighting Fury Belt. So it's not too difficult. I think a couple double colorless and a Dark Energy.
Yeah, so I think it'd be 8.
Hitting.
I think you'd need 5 energy on your Yveltal.
Yeah, so
it's
2 double colorless and Dark Energy.
Right, so if Jarryd immediately this turn benches an Yveltal, it gets one to Dark and 2 double colorless, and
It's
Fighting
happened-
Fury Belt and a Lysander when he doesn't play Fighting Fury Belt.
Yeah, it
So
might not be on this turn,
He
but
needs 6. He literally needs 6 energy to do it.
essentially, I guess what I'm saying is that attaching 3 energy to one Gardevoir versus 2 on each is a little bit more
Yeah, no, definitely.
risky than the other way around. And even if the Yveltal just hits it, that's a good amount of damage on a 3 energy Pokemon.
Yeah, no, definitely. It just does more damage. It's not necessarily
doesn't
it's
need
going
to
to
get
get
the
knocked
one
out,
hit,
but yeah, absolutely. It just still has more damage.
Okay, so we see
And the Taurus coming out here.
with the Horn attack.
Finishing off the job. So yeah, weighing up, thinking, I'd rather have Taurus out there, soak up some damage, but foregoing the 30 snipe from Shadow Bullet.
Yeah.
It's an interesting play. If he can't get the Taurus out of the active spot, it is going to be a liability. Because Jessie sort of anticipating that, he actually did Geomancy onto another Xerneas, knowing that he wanted Geomancy again. Knowing that he's under no real pressure here, and this Taurus isn't even going to be 2 carrying the Xerneas, so Jarrod's going to have to retreat it, or get it out of the active spot in some way. Otherwise, it's just going to be a few
The
Geomancy.
Taurus is going to be 1-hit KO'd by Primal Clash Gardevoir.
Yeah, exactly.
If, on this turn, if Jessie has access to it.
Oh yeah,
in
of
the
course,
Fairy
on
Garden.
this turn, absolutely, yeah. Wow, yeah, because I was talking about he needed the Mega Turbo to knock out the Umbreon, but Taurus has even less HP.
Yeah.
So 6 energy, 6 times 30. We'll do the 180 that Taurus's HP is. So
Okay, but we just see another Geomancy.
yeah, because he sent out Xerneas, he'd need a fairy. Yeah, he'd need a Fairy Garden in addition to the Mega Guardi. So just gonna Geomancy here, and that's an intimidating field.
It is an intimidating field. And
Jarrod's got a lot of interesting cards in his hand. I think one of them is a Parallel City. Not that he want to. I mean, he might want to play that on himself, but he'd be foregoing the Reverse Valley, which would seem like it'd be a nice, something that's good here.
and I keep banging on about it, but he wants that Yveltal EX.
Yeah,
Really,
definitely. Yeah, just to help him hit for higher numbers.
Yeah.
That's a
So
bit of a painful Sycamore. Has to discard another Reverse Valley into Parallel City. So if this Reverse Valley gets countered, he's not going to have that anymore.
no. Didn't really. He drew into a couple of Ultra Balls, but
took an Ultra Ball for the
yeah.
Yveltal. And we apologise, that field is almost invisible
Yeah.
on Jarrod's bench. There's a Gardevoir with a Float Stone,
Yeah.
an Umbreon with enough energy to attack, something else, and something else. So yeah, an EV.
There's an EV, a Gardevoir,
a Shaman, and then
Shaman.
I can't remember what the last one is.
I think it's another Umbreon.
Yes,
Got
okay.
two
Two
Umbreons.
Umbreons, Gardevoir, Shaman, EV. Yeah,
Yeah,
full
so-
complement.
So Jarryd just has to hit for 60 here, so he's not even
so
2-hit KOing that.
So puts down
Xerneas.
the EV instead of Ultra Balling. Perhaps he knew Yveltal EX was priced
Possibly.
and didn't want to bother getting it out.
Yeah.
Well, didn't want to bother trying to get it out.
And that will be huge, actually, for Jarryd, because he's going to struggle to get prizes.
Absolutely, he's really going to struggle. And Jessie, just has to draw into one of many things here.
Exactly. Just a Mega Gardevoir, and he'll be rolling here.
Or even just what's the worst case scenario for him? He doesn't draw anything, but that's not even that bad
Yeah.
because this Xerneas slowly goes down, or it's
Okay.
just he's not really under any pressure here.
So he doesn't have access to a Fairy Garden, I think.
Yeah, does he? I wonder if he plays any switching cards,
Yeah.
like Escape Rope or something like that as well.
And he put 2 energy on the Xerneas on the bench, so he probably plays Xerneas Break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually.
That's a signal. If you're thinking, that's a bit odd. Why would you put? Do you want to power up a Rainbow Spear? But
Yeah.
it's powering up for Xerneas Break's attack, so that does 20 damage times the number of all energy in play.
Yeah.
So it's it's a bit like a poor man's Brilliant Arrow, although it does count double energies as 2, whereas Brilliant Arrow would only count double dragon. Oh, that's a total random aside. This deck doesn't play any double dragon or double colors, so basically Xerneas Break is going to be a poor man's Brilliant Arrow.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's a 90x attacker. It's got 150 HP. Just uses
Okay.
Geomancy again.
So he's Geomancies again, so now he's got, what's that, 4, 7, 10, 11 energy on the board. And he puts 4 on his Gardevoir, 3 on the Xerneas, possibly anticipating hammers and things
Yeah,
like
definitely,
that.
because sometimes you actually want to put more, and he's seen that, Jarrod's bench is full, there's no Evil Tally X coming out in the foreseeable future.
So,
and
he's safe for now.
Oh, plays an end, Jarryd, looks like bailing Jessie out a bit. Jessie didn't seem to have much.
Yeah.
Or maybe he thought that, because, he obviously didn't have a Mega Gardevoir, otherwise he would have played it.
Yeah.
So, and didn't play a supporter. So, Oh, interesting to note that he does play Max Elixir. That's interesting. So perhaps he doesn't play Mega Turbo.
Possibly. Or he could be going for the nuts and playing both Max Elixir and Mega Turbo.
Let's not go nuts here.
So we see a Flare Grunt.
Oh, we do see. I'm pretty sure that's a
after
Mega
Trade as well.
Gardevoir in Jessie's hand. So, yes, following turn could be a bit of a bloodbath.
Yeah. And you've got to think the longer the game goes on, the more favoured Jessie is, just purely by just getting energy out onto the field, having enough time to build up his board.
I mean, the only potential saving grace for Jarryd is maybe, seeing Max Elixir instead of Mega Turbo, so he can just... What the...
It's a war of the hammers. Jessie plays his own crushing hammer.
I did not expect to see that.
It's a very interesting list here.
Did they actually swap cards at some point? When they were shuffling decks, accidentally a Crushing Hammer found his way into their deck. I mean, they are playing different sleeves, so it'd be pretty difficult to...
Okay, so he flips heads and discards a double colorless off the Umbreon.
There you go.
So, did not expect to see that. And
I think Jarryd was thinking, what?
So Jarryd gets a taste of his own medicine there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like it. It
How
doesn't
like
taste
apples?
good.
Yeah. And we see another energy. This is an interesting...
Okay,
there's
so
a lot
that's
of energy.
12 energy. I wonder how many Jessie plays. You got to think that's got to be it. 12 energy is usually... Well, there's one in the discard, so that makes 13.
13 energy, wow. And that's got to be a bit demoralizing for Jarryd. He's thinking, all right, I'm just got to get him down to 6 energy in play, because then, Brilliant Arrow isn't knocking out Umbreon, for instance, and it's not knocking out Evil Tally X.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, that would be 6, but...
Okay, so
and then he has 12 energy in play, and it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Dark Call is going to get him down to 10 energy in play, and then you've got to, Team Flagrant and Hammer several... I mean, it's not going to happen.
It's an uphill battle for sure, and a Super Rod or something will just completely ruin that whole thing. Another Hammer. All right. And so he does have Fairy Garden, but he's having a lot of trouble finding the Megas here. So
just when I saw a Mega Gardevoir in his hand, maybe that was actually...
a normal Gardevoir.
It was it looks like the
one from Generations.
Yeah, it looks like the...
Yeah, so he doesn't have Mega Gardevoir. He does have Brock's Grit, however, just to rub salt in the wound for Jarryd.
That's probably even better than Super Rod in this matchup, because, obviously Brock's Grit is a slower card because it's a supporter, and there is that Fairy Gun, the all-important. It's a slower card, but you can get it back with Versus Seeker, so you really never run out of energy.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like, Jessie's deck, it's just sort of the counter matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
That the energy denial doesn't do much, you resist their Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can play around Taurus very easily.
So Jessie deciding with his build, look, I just need a lot of energy in play to make Primal Clash Gardevoir super, super potent. So I'm going to forego some other cards, and in order to fit in a lot of energy, Brock's Grit, things like this that we don't normally see in traditional, quote-unquote, traditional
definitely.
Gardevoir archetypes. So, but he does play hammers. So, wonder what specific matchup that's for.
Yeah, it could be for... I can't think off the top of my head, but it could be useful in some matchups.
I guess it could give you a chance against Scizor if you're really lucky on the hammers.
Yeah, exactly. If you're hammerheads, and you can...
You draw dead.
There you go.
So, I guess... But
I wonder if Jarryd could actually Lysander out, say, a Hooper here or a Shaman.
Yeah.
Because it seems like Jessie's run out of energy.
He could.
Until he gets, say, a Brock's Grit and shuffles back that one Fairy in his discard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe that's something that he could look into, but... Because if he could say Lysander out, like a Hooper or a Shaman, and he could say Lysander out Hooper, Shadow Ball it twice, and then put 60 on Shaman, and then finish that off if it doesn't get discarded with Despair Rare, something like that, maybe you could find a road to 6 prizes just by trapping one of these active.
Exactly.
It's a bit scary because he has a Fairy Gun, all he needs is one more energy, but you've seen so many energy come down that you might just have to hope this is it.
Okay.
And I can't win just in a straight up fight, so but we didn't see that from Jarryd that turn.
Okay, so Jessie finally gets the Primal Clash into play. Primal Clash Gardevoir, that is. So he will be one-hit carrying absolutely everything on Jarrod's field. Jarryd does have the Evil Tally X
we see a switch in his hand, so the play I was talking about would not have worked.
Okay, I thought he was going to send up the normal Gardevoir.
Yeah.
But he was just making space.
Just making space. There's a lot of energy on the board, so a bit clunky.
What's that? 4, 8, 11 energy.
330 damage.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's just a knockout. Yeah.
So, no extra prizes for doing that much damage, but we do see Jessie gets first blood rather, and then we see the benefit of attaching that extra energy from Jessie's side, because the Flare Grunt comes down from Jarryd, but not super disruptive, because...
We'll see, now he's only doing 300 damage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, a world of difference, but yeah.
Alright, and Jarryd actually uses Dark Call here, so he discards a 2 energy off the Gardevoir, so now...
I definitely think that's a good play, just because it's not guaranteed that Jessie has another Mega Gardevoir to evolve.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if he does, I suppose the Dark Call wasn't doing a whole lot, but you've just got to hope at this point.
Exactly. That's Jarrod's best chance to win, probably.
Yeah, it seems like, okay, Jessie has a Scarlet, so we could grab an Ultra Ball.
Yeah.
And that... Yeah, because he still has, 8 energy in play, so he's still hitting for 240.
Yeah.
Which is still 1 more energy above what he would need, so... And Jarrod's exhausted his Dark Call, his GX attack at this point.
Yeah.
So, this Umbreon should be going down here, and then Jessie's just got to take 2 more prizes.
To be honest, Jessie could just retreat, Brock's Grit, and then send up something just to soak up a hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things he could do. So he does a Brock's Grit.
Yeah.
I
believe he does. Didn't he have it last turn, or did he get end? No, Jarryd Flare Grunted. So I'm pretty sure he should have access to Brock's Grit, unless he discard it with Ultra Ball.
Yeah, he could take a turn to use Brock's Grit.
Because he has gone through a lot of energy, and as we said, no guarantee there's another Mega Guardi in the deck.
Alright, so he's going to Scarlet. Yeah, almost certainly searching for an Ultra Ball here.
Okay, so we see a Despair Ray, but we don't see... I didn't see a Primal Clash Gardevoir in there.
Okay, so it doesn't have a Primal Clash Gardevoir. Alright, so that's got to be a bit of reprieve for Jarryd. Perhaps his other Primal Clash Gardevoir's prized, so... But still, even just a 2-hit KO here is going to be pretty good.
And I didn't see a Xerneas Break in there either, which would also be pretty good.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't play Xerneas Break. I mean, I think he might have just been powering up the Xerneas because it's a safe place to put his energy.
Possibly.
Relatively safe.
Okay, no, there is another Primal Clash Gardevoir in there.
Oh, misleading us. Yeah. False hope.
He's pretty much got one of every art of Gardevoir, I think.
Yeah, see, that art looks kind of vaguely like the basic one. That's why I'm
Don't try and justify it, Roland. There's too much. You messed up. No.
Too much to keep track
Yeah,
of.
exactly. There's too many. The Generations art just confuses everyone. So,
Yep, and that's going to be a 1-hit knockout here. And then Jarrod's going to figure out, what do I do?
yeah, that 30 damage should go onto the Gardevoir.
Yeah, 30 damage has just randomly disappeared from...
Yeah. Hopefully they realise...
The 3 on the die is just sitting there on the board, so it's waiting to be put back on. But
Jessie just moved it so he could move the Gardevoir up to the active spot. But he does 1-hit KO.
There's the Evil Tally X from Jarryd.
Yeah, Jarryd had it in his hand, so...
It's a bit late now, though.
Yeah.
Just a bit late.
And you got to feel if Jarryd had been sort of powering up that Evil Tally X while Jessie was struggling to get that Mega Gardevoir, he would have been in a much better position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, okay, so maybe if he gets a Team Flagrant and like a Crushing Hammer. Yeah, so he has to go for Energy Denial at this point. So he's going to Team Flagrant the active. So yeah, he sends up Gardevoir, lets it take a hit, uses Team Flagrant again.
Yeah.
Puts this Mega Gardevoir down to 2 energy.
Yeah.
Perhaps Jessie doesn't have another energy to use Brilliant Arrow. But of course, a Brock's Grit could come at any moment. And of course, we did see Jarryd discard all his stadiums early on. So he's not going to be able to counter this Fairy Gun, I don't believe. And if this Fairy Gun stays active, well, he can just retreat between everything for free.
Yeah.
And, if he could trap this active, that might be good. But with Fairy Gun in play, it doesn't seem like that's going to be viable.
So Jarryd just checking how many hammers he has left. I see 1.
Yeah, he could be going for... Well, he can't really get the hammer this turn because he did play Team Flagrant. But yeah, on the following turn perhaps. And also checking Versus Seekers for Team Flagrant in his deck. So that's going to be his... Yeah, only real route to victory here is Disruption. But
so just
decides to scoop there. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. And you want to leave as much time for the following rounds as possible. Like, if you know that there's a 99% chance I'm going to lose this, there's almost no way I can win, why drag it out for a few extra turns? Because that game wasn't even necessarily going to end on the following turn. It could have just chewed up time. Yeah. And then, potentially reduce your odds of being able to make a comeback. in the time format. So, yeah, no, I think smart just to scoop there.
So we've skipped straight to the game 2 because both players spent a bit of time shuffling, and Roland and I couldn't keep the conversation going for that long, and we'll just cut straight to the action.
Oh, a bit harsh. Well, we could have tried, but, it wouldn't have been that interesting.
No. So rather than hear us drone on, we'll just cut straight to game 2. So Jarryd will be going first. He does start with that EV again. And
yeah, Jessie, he wasn't wanting for a better start last game.
No.
He went first. He got the turn 1 Umbreon and the turn 2 Shadow Bullet.
Yeah.
And, when you think about it, Jessie's start wasn't particularly good. I mean, against most decks, that would have been a start that would have put him in a lot of peril.
Yeah.
Not during Mega Gardevoir until about turn 5 or something like that. But, yeah, against this deck, it's just a totally different story. The only saving grace for him was he started with Xerneas. Maybe... God, he starts with Xerneas again.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a repeat of last game, but, maybe Jarryd was really hoping for him to start with something like Gardevoir, and he can't get Xerneas out, potentially, because you do have that Fairy Garden or a switch to get it out of the active spot. But, yeah, it looks like Geomancy is going to be coming his way soon.
Yeah.
And it's going to get off pretty much guaranteed, like 2 Geomancies.
Yeah. So, Jarryd pops down another EV, plays an N. It'll be interesting to see what strategy he goes with. He can't really afford to give Jessie that much time. So we'll see if he tries to go down that Yveltal EX route.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it would be worthwhile for him to pursue that.
Because, especially having seen Jessie's deck, he knows Jessie plays a lot of recovery cards like the Brock's Grid.
Yeah,
so it seems
your
like
heart's got to sink when you see that Brock's Grid. Like, he can do it once, and he's got Versus Seekers for it. It's just... I mean, that's brutal. Like, in terms of running your opponent out of energy, I mean, that's the last thing you ever want to see.
It's not really going to happen, is it? So,
no. And the other thing, I think what would really benefit Jarryd is being able to counter those Fairy Guns. I mean, I mentioned it last game, but he had to Sycamore away 2 stadiums, in addition to, I think, playing the Reverse Valley first.
Yeah.
So, if he can get rid of Fairy Garden to prevent, all these Pokemon being able to retreat freely, he could potentially strand Mega Gardevoir's active. So we saw that Mega Gardevoir, you remember at that one point it had 3 energy on it, then he used Dark Call, but then it was just able to retreat, I believe. But if you can counter Fairy Garden and then you can say Flagrant the active and Dark Call, you could strand a Mega Gardevoir there. It's got 2 retreat. It's got, if it has like 1 or even no energy, you can prevent your opponent from doing anything and you can just slowly build damage on it. So I think that's what he really wants to be doing here. But it does play down a Parallel City.
Yeah, and that's actually quite big because it means, I guess...
Yeah, it does
it's
prevent
one
Hooper
less Pokemon for Hooper to get,
definitely.
so like a Shaman or something won't be accessible. So it's pretty strong, I think, the early Parallel City.
Yeah, absolutely, because if he grabs a Hooper, well, he can only get 2 Pokemon. So it does pretty much prevent Shaman.
Yeah, so we see N from Jessie there. Again, very similar start to last game.
Yeah.
Almost identical, really. Jessie's going to be wanting to find an Ultra Ball to get the Hooper or just 2 Pokemon to Geomancy onto.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jarryd has the Umbreon.
Yeah, Jarryd, he'd really be hoping for Jessie to whiff an Ultra Ball here.
Yeah.
So if he whiffs an Ultra Ball, and well, I suppose he'd have to also not draw into more basics, but even if he only draws into 1 basic, like Jarryd's probably fine with that. You know, Geomancy for 1 energy isn't really that anything special. It's just when you're getting 2 energy and then you're getting 2 more energy on the following turn.
So it looks like Jessie.
No,
he does have that.
It's
the new one.
Yeah, it feels
Deceived
like now
me.
every card now has about 10 different artworks. It is a bit discombobulating, but we see the Ultra Ball, and that's going to get guaranteed 2 Gardevoirs.
As long as the Hooper's not prized.
So not quite guaranteed.
So there's the Hooper.
Alright,
Scoundrel
now
Ring.
Jarryd has just to hope that all of his Gardevoir are prized. No, there's 1. And then there's 2. Might also grab a Mega Gardevoir.
Yeah, you might as well grab a Mega. He grabs Shaman, possibly not realizing that Parallel City's in play.
Yeah.
So that's
or he has a counter stadium.
Or
who knows that he could say Skylar for a counter stadium on the following turn, so he can make use of Shaman. Something like that.
Absolutely. So we see him drop both.
Benching them.
And
benches the Shaman. Thankfully, Jarryd points that out before he draws cards for the setup, because of course, if you draw cards, but then, that's a...
Yeah,
I don't know what the penalty is, but I think
it depends on whether the cards went into their hand, because then you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because once they enter the hand,
But
so unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So we just see a Geomancy here, and Jarryd probably going to put on some pressure with Umbreon here. 2-hit KO on the Xerneas while sniping the bench is still really good.
Yeah, it's still decent.
So
60 damage on. The problem is he doesn't really know which to snipe because, of course, they both have a fairy on them.
You Yeah, you pretty much have to hedge your bets, really, especially when you know Jessie plays Fairy Drop. So,
yeah, he saw that Fairy Drop last game. It
yeah.
didn't actually come down.
No, it didn't come down, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's somewhere.
It is somewhere,
So, we see a Flare Grunt from Jarryd. He's
not going to really be able to do that much more this turn, but it does do setup.
He's got Double Lily in his hand, I believe.
Yeah, sometimes not the best support, but it can be useful.
So, we see... Is that Tails?
Tails, yeah. Would have liked heads there, obviously, but...
Mm-hmm. So... Okay, so we do just see a 90-30, or 70-30 rather. What's going on? Oh, he used Dark Call. So he discarded all the energy off of...
Oh, wow, interesting.
Off of Jessie's board.
Yeah, it's an interesting play.
Yeah. So he does go for that energy denial route again.
I would have liked to see a Shadow Bullet, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
you want to save Dark Call for a point in the game where, as I was talking about, so you can strand and make a Gardevoir active.
Yeah.
The problem here is, okay, so you Dark Call, but then he just attaches and Geomancies again, and you're back at square one.
Mm-hmm.
If you know your opponent can follow up with a Geomancy, this isn't really doing anything. And you're actually going backwards in a sense, because Geomancy, you attach one and you get two, so you're really getting three.
Yeah.
And you're not putting on any pressure. I think his best bet would just be to go as quickly as possible to Shadow Bullet, hope to knock out the Xerneas.
Yeah.
Doesn't get another one, just has to send out Gardevoirs, but can't Mega Evolve. I don't like the Dark Call too much in this situation.
Unless he's trying to just stall a Jessie long enough to build up a massive Evoltol or something like that. But even then, I think Dark Call is an attack that will be useful at any point in the game, basically. Especially because Jessie plays a lot of energy, more than a normal Gardevoir deck would. So absolutely, he would have the manual attachment.
Exactly, and you're not really using Dark Call to literally run your opponent out of energy.
Yeah.
You're using it to sort of strand something active or to make them whiff on the following turn. Whereas in this situation isn't really doing that, because all he needed was one attachment from his hand, and then
so we'll see how that plays out. So Jessie, of course, just attaches and Geomancies. Pretty straightforward turn. He does counter the Parallel City, which does allow him to use Shaman and bench another Xerneas.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so end up benching another Xerneas is really nice as well.
So we see a heads on the Crushing Hammer. So Jarryd keeping Jessie at bay here. But as we said in the previous game, the longer Jessie's allowed to set up, the more favoured he is.
Yeah.
So we do see the Bacon Bird come down, I believe. That is an Evoltol EX. It is, with a Float Stone.
Bacon Bird.
Yeah.
It's got a flavour now.
Yeah, it does. Well, that particular Evoltol EX, the new tin promo, actually looks like bacon.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bit of trivia for everyone.
Yeah. So, okay. So, we see an Escape Rope, and Jarryd probably just to play it out of his hand.
An interesting play.
So we see a 70-30.
Wait, did he play the Escape Rope?
He played the Escape Rope, but he just said, I believe he said he'd go into the Evoltol with the Float Stone and just retreat back to Umbreon.
Oh, but then Jessie decided just to send up another Xerneas.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Jessie had two Xerneas.
Yeah, exactly. It's identical, because he got stripped of the energy.
Yeah.
So at this point, Jarrod's played, two Crushing Hammer?
He's played two Crushing Hammer.
And he's used Dark Call, and he's used some Flare Grunts. Yeah.
And so Jessie's still
and
in a pretty decent spot.
there's not a lot of damage on Jessie's board, so one more Geomancy here. And could be hitting for some big damage.
Okay, so we see a Lysander from Jessie, and that's pretty nice for him. Just, again, makes Jarryd commit one energy to return to retreat the Shaman or Sky Return it, whatever. But basically, just buying more time for himself. Yeah. Just to get energy into play.
And it can make it harder for Jarryd to say play Team Flare Grunt, because...
Oh, this is interesting. There's no more energy in Jessie's deck. He's just got the one that he's going to attach. So the Dark Call does pay off.
Wow, okay.
He must have quite a few prized or in his hand or something, because he's only getting one from...
Wait, doesn't he play like 13 energy?
Yeah.
There's 4 energy on the board.
He's counting 1, 2... And Jarryd just must be jumping for joy here. So he's got 2 in the discard, 2 in hand. So he must have like 4 prized. Wait.
He must have 5 prized.
I'm saying 4 because 5 would be like ridiculously unlucky.
Didn't you say play 13 energy?
I thought I counted 13 in the last game. Could be wrong on that, but that's what I thought.
Wow.
Even with 12, that means 4 is prized.
That's insane.
Or is it 4? Yeah.
So maybe that Dark Call paying off there.
Yeah,
wow.
That Dark Call paying off big time there. So now the door has swung wide open for Jarryd. He's just got to prevent Jessie from taking prizes here. Because, as we said, with that much energy sort of not in Jessie's deck, he's going to struggle to attack even. And the Flare Grunts become so much more potent now.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is that he can kind of make do with the Steam Siege Gardevoir.
Mm-hmm.
And if that can just knock out an Umbreon, you're almost certainly going to get more energy off your prizes.
Yeah.
So he's definitely not out of it yet.
He's not out of it, but this is Jarrod's win opportunity.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah, this is probably the best opportunity.
Chance,
yeah.
Okay,
Who knew? Prizing heaps of energy, can make you unstuck, I suppose. That's not usually when people think of oh, I had bad prizes. You know, it's like, oh, my crucial Pokemon was prized, or my something else was prized. But it's never like, oh, my energy was prized.
Yeah.
But well, in this matchup, I suppose that's some of the worst things you can have prized.
Yeah, and Jessie top decks a Professor's Letter, which is not useful when there's no energy in your deck.
No, not the most useful card.
Okay, so he attaches a third energy to the active Gardevoir, and it's got 60 damage on it, so...
Does the Evil X on the bench have any energy attached to it?
Doesn't, no. It just has a float stone.
Okay, so this Gardevoir could even 2-hit KO the Umbreon, but it does have to discard an energy with its second attack.
Yeah.
So for 2 Fairy and a Colossus does 120, and you have to discard an energy. That's the attack he's going to go with, or maybe... he's going to use...
He used Link Blast.
Link Blast.
So if you have the same amount of energy as your opponent...
It does 100 damage.
Yeah, it does 100 damage.
And that's perfect, and he doesn't have to discard any energy.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, so we see another Hammerheads from Jarryd, so...
Wow.
Oh, wow. All of a sudden, this got really tight.
And he's just thinking, all right, I've just got to knock out this...
So he's going for the snipe damage here. He's trying to snipe, keep the Hooper active.
But I think that's a good play because actually, because he knows, okay, he's out of energy, which means that how's he going to retreat this Hooper?
Yeah.
So I should just be able to hit it for 90.
Hit it for 90 again.
He's hit it for 90 again, and with the 30 damage snipe, I could say hit the Gardevoir.
He could hit
twice.
Yeah,
exactly. I could hit the Gardevoir twice for 30, and then a 70 damage Shadow Ball would be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could say snipe the Shaman a few times, but yeah, I think this is a good play.
Yeah.
Because it prevents, because of course he would be worried about Jessie just attaching another energy and just knocking out his Umbreon.
Yeah.
Getting more energy off the prizes and then, getting something going from here. He really wants to deny prizes because he realizes that Jessie must have prized a lot of energy. And maybe that's what he was going for with that early Dark Call. He's going, well, you know what, if he's just able to Geomancy a bunch of energy, well then I lose anyway. It doesn't matter when I use Dark Call. I may as well use it early and just hope that
So we see the switch come down. The clutch switch from Jessie.
We saw it in his hand, but I don't think Jarryd did. And Jarryd thinking, oh no, I can't win here.
Oh man.
But it's not over yet, because that Hooper does present easy prizes.
So Jessie doesn't draw any energy off these prizes though. So I'm very baffled as to where that energy is.
This is, maybe it found its way into the lost zone, or fell into a fifth dimension and just disappeared.
Just fell between the two tables or something.
So perhaps his last 4 energy are all... So last 4 prizes are all energy. Not sure what the odds of that are.
No.
So he obviously doesn't play 13 energy, unless we're missing something.
Well, he plays at least 12. Because he had 11 on the field in the previous game at some point. So he plays at least 12.
Okay, so we'll say 12, but it's a conservative estimate. So 4 energy prize most likely, unless we miss something.
Okay, so we do see another Shadow Bullet from Umbreon.
Yeah, so it's not going to quite be enough. That's why that switch was so important. If he was able to knock out the Hooper but do another 30 snipe damage. But with a Lysander here, Jarryd could sort of replicate that, knock out the Hooper and the Gardevoir and put himself down to just 1 prize.
And crucially, take all the energy off Jessie's board.
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from the one on the...
Yeah.
But even that one from the Gardevoir actually could even sort of go the distance. If he can get the Despair Ray out with another energy, he could say Lysander up a Shaman, take even more energy off the prizes, and he could still potentially...
Well, he could potentially Despair Ray this turn and get rid of both damaged EXs.
Yeah.
So, the Brock's Grit.
Skylar for Brock's Grit here.
So he's anticipating the knockout.
And that's a lot of energy in the discard. Actually, maybe you didn't see all the energy in his discard. Yeah. Look, I think there are some energy prize, but perhaps not as many as we were estimating before. Because it did look like there were a lot of energy discarded.
Yeah. And, I guess Jarryd did Dark Call. He's hit a few Flare Grunts and stuff, so there's probably at least 4 or 5 in the discard.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, there's still some energy prize. Yeah.
Okay, so Jarryd going for the Taurus again. I'd much rather see that attachment on the Evil EX, I think.
I don't mind it here just because you know that there isn't going to be a big Primal Clutch Gardevoir coming out to knock it out in one hit. So, because if Jessie's going to rely on, Despair,
Yeah.
well then that doesn't really deal with Taurus effectively. But I suppose he can't Mad Ball, that's the thing, because he's already used Dark Ball, so... Yeah, Taurus is going to be... Yeah, decent attack. I mean, particularly without fighting Fury Belt, so, like, the problem is, say he, like, Horn attacks for 60, and then Despair hits for 110, but then he can only Rage for 130, and that's going to knock it out, but... Unless he snipes it for 30.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going for that sort of play, not sure.
Yeah, but I think overall Eviltoss is still a very strong attacker. It hits so efficiently. It hits such big numbers for such low investment. Whereas Taurus, as we said, your opponent almost dictates what you can do with Taurus and what you can't do.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, so Jarryd actually uses Strafe there to knock out the Gardevoir EX.
Just the 10 damage you needed to get it.
Yeah, exactly, after the resistance. So Strafe does 30, lets you may switch to the bench, I believe.
Yeah, you may.
So he sends out the Taurus just to soak up a hit, if need be. And he protects his Umbreon at the same time, so he is protecting it from that Despair Gardevoir, which is always a threat when you see your opponent with one energy and a Spirit Link.
A second Crushing Hammer coming down from Jessie, though. So it wasn't
both
just
tails.
one. And unfortunately, both tails.
The flips.
Yeah, and this is kind of the rest of the first game where like Jarryd was flipping poorly in the first game, but now he's flipping pretty well in this game. I can't remember whether Jessie got heads on his Crushing Hammer.
So we will see how much energy Jessie has here.
Yeah,
so
of course,
5,
Brock's
6. So he's got 7 in the discard.
You can shuffle back 6 energy with Brock's Grit.
Yeah.
So it is a lot more powerful than Super Rod. Because of course Super Rod is 3 of any combination of Pokemon and basic energy, but Brock's Grit is 6 of any combination of Pokemon and energy.
Yeah.
Basic energy.
So, but you got to feel the game has completely swung in Jarryd's favor.
Absolutely, it absolutely has. A Despair Gardevoir would be so big though, just to get rid of that Hooper.
Yeah, but I don't think Jessie has anything. He just looks like he has an Olympia and a Spirit Link or something in his hand.
Wow.
So and the Fairy Garden gets bounced. So Jarryd licking his chops here.
Yeah, he can win in 2 turns.
Yeah, exactly.
2 Shadow Bolts and that's the game.
Yeah. So he's contemplating. So yeah,
he's contemplating whether to Lysander. I think that's not a bad play just to guarantee the 2 prizes.
Yeah.
It does make it harder to win in 2 turns.
Okay, so he plays Skullgrunt there. Interesting decision.
Yeah, but sees there's nothing in his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with Lysander is, okay, so you Lysander on Hooper, but where are you going to put the 30 damage? So it doesn't guarantee that you win the game on the following turn.
He could have Lysandered Shaman and hit twice, and hit to Hooper twice with the bench damage as well.
Yes, he could have done that, but then you don't knock anything out.
Yeah.
And then if... It sort of has the potential downside risk of, and then Jessie top decks into something and then Despairs both of them,
Yeah.
Like a worst case scenario, but...
but then, I guess you could just Lysander the Gardevoir then, and then hit that for 70. That's not bad.
Yeah, definitely, but... Okay. But he's going to be in a position regardless, so... Uses Geomancy, and that's going to be a Shadow Bolt for the game.
That's going to be Oh, right, he only had 3 prizes. Right, sorry.
Yeah.
I was under the impression he had 4. So, okay, 3 prizes. Yeah, then so that was definitely the right play.
Yeah, just exactly those Zonies, yeah.
So, yeah. So, we see Jarryd take down game 2 there, and the Dark Call was massive.
It was.
It really swung the game in his favour. He probably saw maybe something we missed, that Jessie had discarded a lot of energy.
Exactly, yeah. So he probably recognised, okay, I can catch him at a point where he just doesn't have enough energy.
Yeah.
So Dark Call... It's going to be useful just to get rid of energy, even if he can Geomancy on the following turn, but those might be his last energy, and just run him out so he doesn't have enough.
So very interesting.
So well timed.
So yeah, and speaking of time, we must be getting pretty close now.
Yeah, we must be getting pretty close, and this is a matchup that's pretty slow.
Yeah,
it's unlikely that it finishes
very quickly. No, both players play a lot of basic Pokemon, so even Jarryd's weakest Pokemon, Eevee, was just a dark energy, can energy evolve into an Umbreon. So
exactly, both decks are pretty hard to donk.
Yeah,
Xerneas is a very difficult Pokemon to donk, and again, everything's resistant to dark. If you don't put any energy down, Eviltal EX isn't doing anything.
Yeah,
it's just hard to knock this Pokemon out quickly.
Yeah, so we're definitely heading towards a tie. No guarantees. But you got to think time is pretty close at this point. So
one player's going to need a phenomenal start, and the other player's pretty much got to not have any basics.
Yeah,
because we've only got a few minutes left.
Yeah,
before time's called, and then both players get 2 extra turns after that. But
and
we see some mulligans here.
Yeah. You and I were discussing this before. it's sort of interesting having best of 3 when you never actually play the third game.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare to see 3 completed games.
Yeah.
It's very rare to see 3 completed games, particularly when you have time for shuffling in between.
Yeah.
The games have to be relatively quick.
Yeah.
So the only series that finish tend to be games where only 2 games have been played. So you've either got to win 2-0 or you tie. Even sometimes, only 1 game finishes.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can't even finish 2 games. I mean, at least in that situation, you don't end up with a tie. But it's these relatively low time limits with ties is in best of 3 is pretty brutal. When you've only got 50 minutes, if you had like 75 minutes, well, okay, then it's not really a big issue anymore because then you can absolutely finish 3 games.
Yeah.
But just unfortunately something we have to live with.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's no ideal. Back when it was best of 1, people complained best of 1. Oh, I got donked.
Yeah.
But the game was a little bit different then. Donks were a big part of the game.
Yeah.
Whereas now, donks don't really exist.
No, that's because of course you can't attack on the first turn. So donking as we know it does not exist.
Yeah. So we see Jessie go first. He attaches an energy, and we'll see what he can do.
It looks like he has a good hand. I mean, those mulligans probably helped him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can Ultra Ball. I mean, even if he doesn't have Hooper, I mean, even just grabbing a Gardevoir, like, that's going to be so difficult to knock out in the time. Look, Jessie's not going to be losing.
No.
Maybe Jarryd has nothing beyond this Eevee, but again, even just like a Dark Energy gets him a 200 HP Pokemon. it's extraordinarily difficult to sort of rush these decks and win very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially when he plays like Hammers and all these cards. It just... Okay, so he does get the Hooper. Only searches for Gardevoir and Shaman. He might have had another Gardevoir in his hand or something like that. But looks like we're heading to a tie here.
Yeah, it's almost a foregone conclusion at this point. So, especially because... So, Jessie's definitely not going to get donked here.
Yeah.
And even if he was able to attack... even if Jarryd wasn't able to get anything, Jessie's deck doesn't exactly go fast. He needs sort of like 1 Geomancy before he's going.
Yeah.
And because he's going first, he's going to wait until the next turn to do that.
He can't have a Geomancy yet. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, if I were him, I would almost just attach to the Gardevoir, hope he gets switched to Spare Ray, and just say, okay, it's a minuscule chance, but at least there's a chance I can get a quick win here. So, and I don't need to Geomancy to win.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely. Yeah. So... Yeah, almost be better just in this situation.
Yeah, exactly. A normal game, you'd obviously want to attach to Xerneas, but this isn't a normal game. This is if I don't win in like 2 minutes, then it's probably not going to finish sort of game.
And you sort of got to be aware that you're pretty close to time. You played 2 pretty long games.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we sort of know what the time is, but they don't. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, they've got to be aware. Like, if you play 2 long games, if anyone can see a clock or if anyone has a watch or I don't hear, but
there's the Dark Energy. So
this probably that's, and I think it is handy as like a Sycamore. It's this unlikely that this game finishes. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we see a Reverse Valley come down, and an Ultra Ball.
Discarding that Tauros.
Ah, that Rainbow Tauros hits the discard pile. Wow. It's got to feel sad.
Yeah, it's got to feel sad. I know. It didn't even get to be put on the bench. And I believe right now time's been called.
Okay.
So both players have. Yeah. So this is turn 0. So Jarryd will have 2 more turns, including this one, and Jessie will have 2 more turns of his own.
Yeah. And
so the question is, can either player take 6 prizes in 2 turns?
And I think the categorical answer to that is
no. Unfortunately, not. So. Yeah. So this game, it's going to be a tie. I think they might play it out regardless, just to be 100% sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Tauros.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Rainbow Rares?
I'm not a huge fan of them myself. I think they're very weird. I don't know. They have no artwork on them generally. It's very hard from a commentator's point of view to tell what the card actually is when you're looking at the Rainbow Rare because there's just this glare of colours. So, I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel the same way. There's a lot of arts nowadays. There's like 10 GXs and each of them has 3 different arts, Yeah.
The struggle is real for collectors.
Yeah, you'd hate to be a collector right about now.
Yeah, so...
That's one big binder.
Yeah, and I especially... we've gone on to ranting about the artworks of cards now, but this game's pretty much done. So, the full arts from this set, I find them hideous.
Do elaborate.
Yeah, they're just... I don't know, they're just solid colours with an artwork of the Pokemon.
So you don't like
front.
Minimalist feel?
I like minimalist,
bit of like 16th century,
that seems a little bit too minimalist to the point where they haven't actually gone to any effort whatsoever.
Oh, well, if you look closer, you can see all the different color palettes and shades and,
Yeah,
But no, I understand exactly what you mean.
but yeah, I feel the normal arts are pretty nice. Like even the Umbreon art looks really nice.
Yeah, it does look nice. I concur.
Yeah, and so... Okay, so... Jarryd uses Dark Call and on turn 2 of time, so... Just for the lols, really.
Yeah.
And
not a whole lot going on.
Yeah, no. This is pretty much over.
It's a tie.
And yep, so
yeah, well played by both players. Interesting matchup. Yeah,
it was
really able to sneak in a win in that second game. That was really impressive.
Exactly.
You just Dark Call at the right time and just stripped him of energy. Yeah, Jessie probably had a few energy prize, which made it difficult. Had to discard some energy, but tough matchup. Well done from Jarryd to bring that back, but well played by Jessie as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, as we said before, Jessie, a newer sort of player, so really good for him to be on camera, to be able to see his plays and see how he went. And so thanks to both players for letting us record.
Yeah.
We'll be back pretty soon with round 3. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Always appreciate the feedback, and we'll see you guys in the next round. See ya.